Welcome everyone to the 9th round of Season 1 of the Total Esports division. We are here in Singapore at Marina Bay Street Circuit for the Singapore Grand Prix. Hopefully another exciting race in store for us today. The second to last round of the season. Sorry for going quiet there, just had to respond to people on Discord. Still getting some drivers into the lobby last minute. The championship on the line now. CPI with a pretty sizable gap of 115 points to X, with no other team still in contention mathematically. And to keep that title fight alive, X will have to gain 10 points in this qualifying session already. What will help with that is that CPI have one driver serving a qualifying ban. So with X only having one car scoring points in qualifying, CPI only having one car scoring points in qualifying, that does help X's chances a little bit to overcome this, absolute mountain of a points gap. It is 10 points per position, and then 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, down to P8, so the old Formula 1 point scoring system before 2010. And actually the relentless car of YK17 is retired immediately, hasn't even gone out for an installation lap. Relentless had a qualifying ban in Monza which they had served, so interesting that they ended up now retiring again as well, so he is, I guess, doing a last to first challenge in this race out of pure enjoyment. All he forgot his team already served the qualifying ban. A couple of cars already on track, the first one being Bulletproof for ORT, who are a team that joined us midway through the season with, I believe, Monza actually having won their first race. We have another new team joining us as well in TGF, being represented by Dominic Nielsen today. As of now, their only driver for today. They are trying to get a reserve to join halfway through qualifying. So yeah, a 14 car grid at the moment, might still increase to 16. Unfortunately, we are down to 8 teams in this event now, with ERO, ASE and TGT all having pulled out, and the only replacement I was able to find for such a late start in the season being TGF. Unfortunately, with 2 races to go, who's gonna join in the event at that point? You're so far behind in the standings, there's no point, not really much of a chance of fighting for anything. You'd rather be focusing on your other events at that point, which is very much understandable. So yeah, we are gonna have to finish the season with 16 drivers each race, well, provided that all teams who are still competing have 2 drivers racing. And that also means that we are going to be doing short qualifying for the remainder of the season. No more full qualifying. I mean, if you don't have a full grid, full qualifying becomes a bit of a waste of time for everyone. So only makes sense to bring it down to short qualifying. There we go. Blackberry Hall is joined for TGF. He's going to be the reserve driver for today. That brings us up to 15 drivers at least. And then the only team now with only one driver in the lobby would be LRN. So hopefully they can get another driver in as well, and we'll have the full 16 drivers competing today around Singapore. I'm expecting times for pole position just inside the 127s, I would say. The pole position, the world record, in time trial on PlayStation is a 27.117 by Namsco. So we'll see if anyone can get close to that. We've seen pretty impressive qualifying times, especially from the likes of CPI, who do only have one car competing today, which is worth mentioning. Jamie, the only one for CPI doing qualifying, I believe. Artem is the one serving the qualifying ban. The first lap time has been put in, a 29.501 by Bulletproof. And we'll see how that compares. Moustache is currently coming up the final corner for NLR. And he puts in a 28.139, a big gap there, 1.4 seconds separating the two first-time position. Cam with a 40.0. So that must have been a spin, a major mistake on that. Maki for NLR with a 28.6, 5/10 of his teammate, but in P2 for now at least. I see an Azatari near the end of the lap. That's Havina, who has invalidated his lap. Behind him is Rishi, one of the drivers for X. So this could be crucial for the title decider. X need a good qualifying performance to give themselves any chance of still winning this championship, and even after that, they will need to gain another probably around 40 points in the race if they somehow hang on to this. They need to gain a combined 54 points with qualifying and race combined on CPI, and with there only being 44 points on offer in the race and 18 in qualifying, that's going to be a pretty tough task for them, as Rishi puts in a 29.225, goes into third place. Benny with a 30.395 in the fifth. Jamie around the final corner at a 27.554 banker. That is quite a statement. Wow. Yeah, I said the qualifying times would, or the pole position time would maybe be just inside this 27th. And we are only about 5 minutes into qualifying, and Jamie comes out swinging with a 27.5. That's his very first lap of the session, which is mighty impressive. And unless anyone else can deliver some kind of magic, I think we might already have our pole sitter here. Dominic Nielsen, the first sector, has gone purple, 26.660. Let's see what's Jamie's first sector. 2/10 faster. Okay, not actually purple, but a decent first sector from Dominic nonetheless. We'll see if he can challenge Moustache for that P2 place, or if he can maybe even gain more time in the second and third sector and go for Jamie. But yeah, that is one hell of a lap. And well, if Jamie gets either P1 or P2 in this session, that's already all hope for Team X gone. Because those 10 points for pole or 8 points for P2 would already yeah, give X no chance of gaining 10 points in this qualifying session. So that lap could have been a championship winning lap for CPI. Although, I mean, given the 115 point gap they have, if it hadn't been that lap, would have been the race. Or at an absolute stretch, they would have won it next week probably. A 28.614 from Dominic. So he is ever so slightly faster than Maki into P3. He split the two NLR drivers. We've got Jerome going back to the pits here. The Haas of Blackberry Hall about to start a lap. His first lap for TGF as well in this event. Red Ninja, close to the end of a lap for ORT here. They are driving in the Ferrari. Bit of a tap on the wall there coming off the chicane. Not ideal, but didn't look too bad. No wing damage around the final corner. It's a 131.146. That's P11 for the ORT driver. Cam improved to a 28.8 at some point. He's currently in P5, so X at the minute in P5 and 6, with CPI in P1 and, well, 13th for the qualifying band for Artem. So, at the moment, the title will be decided in favor of CPI, which would be a rather, well, I was going to say anticlimactic ending, but not really. There wasn't all that much of a climax to begin with here. I think we all very well knew that it was only a matter of time as to when CPI would decide the title, not if, given the amazing season they've had. Blackberry Hall here. What is this middle sector gonna be? It's a 104.395. Stay on board with him till the end of the lap. A 27.554 by Jamie to beat. Is that gonna be anywhere near him? Likely not. I don't think the sector time was that strong that I saw so far. A pretty large field spread at the moment, but that's Singapore for you. It's a very technical track, a very long track. A 29.493 for Blackberry Hall into P7. His teammate Red Ninja, sorry, his teammate Dominic is out on track again, is he? No, he's not in the pit lane. What am I talking about? I'm seeing things. Relentless Peace on a lap as well on his first lap of the session. The only one in the session was going to complete another lap, and he hasn't completed the lap so far. Artem back in the pits, so he's done an installation lap, got the setup saved, and well, either he's going to stay in the pit lobby or else in the session or just retire. So we'll see Peace middle sector in just a moment. Was a 4.3 for Blackberry Hall, and for Peace it's going to be a 4.1, so he's a bit faster. And Jamie is done with the session. Jamie's decided that 27.5, good enough. He's going to save as many tires as possible. And I have to say, it's a mightily impressive lap. He has a 6/10 gap to P2, 1.1 seconds to P3. That is not something you usually see in team events. And for Peace, it's a 29.203 into P6. He's got Bulletproof currently in P9 on a 29.5. A 104.0 in the middle sector, up by 2.5 tenths, so a bit of an improvement for him. That could put him ahead of Blackberry Hall and potentially in the region of Rishi and Peace. There's now LRN Doublechee has joined as well, so that's now the full 16-car grid finally. Thankfully just in time for qualifying ends. And Bulletproof around the final corner. How far up the grid is gonna go? It's a 129.132 into P6 for the OLT driver. We've got a Alfa Romeo coming up to the final corner, that would be Maki, but he's honestly back to the pit lane. Dominic Nielsen behind it on an outlap. Behind that, PFR Benny was up by 2 tenths in the first sector and a full second in the middle sector. So this will be a about a 129.3. That could put him in contention for a P6, P7 if he gains a bit more time in the final sector as well. So looking like a pretty decent lap from Benny so far. PFR haven't scored all that many points in the season up until now. But maybe Benny can change that now. He goes into P9, just outside the points paying positions in qualifying. But he's not far off from the cars ahead of him. So promising signs of Benny early on. What about LRN Jerome? Up by 6 tenths in the middle sector by 104.8. Currently his best time a 30.709. Both extras coming up to the line here. Rishi, a 28.517 into third. Cam is 2 seconds down. He's not going to be improving at the moment. We've got Dominic Nielsen up by 1.5 tenths in the first sector. Moustache doesn't validate his run, he will have to go back to the pit lane. Ferrari behind him of Bulletproof is on a slow lap. So Dominic Nielsen is closest to finishing a lap, we'll stay on board with him. Currently in P4, a 28.614 for the TGF driver. And in the middle sector, he's up by a full 5 tenths. So on for a 28.1 at the moment, if he can match his final sector from the first lap. That would put him ahead of Moustache into second place. But still, nowhere near Jamie, unless he can deliver some magic in the final sector. A bit of a tap on the wall. No wing damage for him though, so he should be fine to continue the lap. It's a 27.929. A very strong lap from Dominic Nielsen. Don't let that 27.5 from Jamie take away from that. That is still a mightily impressive time, even if it is still 4 tenths off of what Jamie has done. So at the moment, Dominic into P2 with a 2 tenths gap to Moustache in third place. Looking pretty good so far. A good debut for TGF. Teammate Blackberry currently in 10th. 1.5 seconds off his teammate. Well, it's a very long track. It's 19 corners. And used to be the longest lap. It still is the longest race in Formula 1 because the average speed over a lap is quite low, and you do 31 laps on this track. It's 4.94 kilometers long, which isn't actually all that long for a Formula 1 track. But yeah, as I said, the average speed is so low. There's so many corners. 19, as I said. It used to be even more before they changed the track layout. We got on board with Dominic here, so he's just going through it. Right here used to be a right-left chicane, and then followed by a left-right chicane, which rejoined about here. and then he had another right-left chicane. So it was 3 chicanes shortly after this. So this right-left chicane that Dominic just went through was the last one. You had 3 chicanes right after each other, which really lengthened the track quite a bit in terms of lap time. But they've removed 2 of those chicanes now. We have another long straight, adding a potential overtake opportunity as well. Red Ninja with a 30.008 into 13th. So that has helped with the lap times. They're quite a lot faster now than they used to be. I think by about 10 seconds or so, if not even more. So yeah, it's a massive change in the lap times. Just by removing a few corners and replacing them with a long straight. But still, it's a pretty long lap. And then also a lot of laps in the race as well, so it's a very long race. Practically it's more like an endurance race than it is a classic Formula 1 Grand Prix. Even, I mean, not so much in the league racing, since we do 50% races, so it's half the distance of a normal Grand Prix. But still, for league racing standards, it's a very long race. It's just under an hour, probably, if you include the time spent under safety car and stuff. And normally you take about 40-45 minutes. So yeah, there's definitely a noticeable difference in the race time between Singapore, and especially with our last race having been Monza, which is the shortest race in terms of the time it takes to complete on the Formula 1 calendar. You can definitely tell the difference in how long you spend driving. Currently on board with Cam for X. He is sitting in P6 on a 28.854. And he is going to need to beat Jamie, realistically, if he wants to keep X in the title fight. But I would say that's very much an outside chance at this point. He'd need to gain 1.3 seconds. And the lap did not look that great so far. What is he doing at the moment? It's a 17,000 improvement. No, this will not be it. This will not be it for Cam. It's still going to be a decent lap. He's going to probably secure in P6, maybe he can have a go at Maki for P5. He's very aggressive over those curbs, the car bottoming out quite a bit. And for Cam, we're on the final corner, what's it gonna be? A 128.665 indeed into 5th place, just about beating Angela Maki, whose service is coming up to the line at the moment. So that fight for P5 not quite over yet. Maki's middle sector time down by 8,000, but he actually abandons the lap. Not going to be improving his teammate Moustache, just starting one. P's just starting one. I see a Red Bull coming up to the line, that would be Domelchi maybe? No, it's his teammate Verone starting a lap. Following that, 2 Haas cars, both on out laps. Behind that, Havina on an out lap. Behind that, Benny finally found someone on an out lap. 71,000 up in the first sector. We'll see what he's doing in the middle sector. Down by 2/10, so unless he can gain a lot of time in the final sector, Benny's not going to be improving. He'll be staying in P9 for now and maybe dropping a few places as well with other drivers behind him improving. Benny braking at about 75 meters for the turn 16 and 17 chicane. Very aggressive over the first part of those curbs. And he's gone back to the pit lane. Benny's not going to be improving. Staying in P9. And there we go, Domelchi meanwhile coming to the line as well, a 103.463 in the middle sector, his first and only lap in the session. Moustache retiring from 3rd place. He's crashed out, coming out of that hairpin after the Anderson Bridge. And Domelchi with a 28.292 in the 4th place on his first attempt. That is pretty impressive for the LRN driver. Bulletproof up by 3/10 in the middle sector. We'll see what he's going to do once he comes up to the line. Maybe he can challenge Maki and Cam for 6th and 7th. And indeed he does. P6 for Bulletproof, 28.595. I see both Williams coming to the line. Rishi up by 3/10 here. So maybe he can have a go at that top 3 position. Yes, indeed, 28.136 into 3rd place. I'm getting very good at these predictions. Dominic Nielsen up by 24,000. So a slight improvement. Well, I've jinxed it, he's spun. But it will have kept him P2 anyway, I'm pretty sure. Jerome, the only one still going when he's abandoned as well, or is anyone still on lap Maki maybe? Nope, that's it. Qualifying is done at the Singapore Grand Prix, and that 27.5 by Jamie about 5 minutes into the session went completely unchallenged. A 3.5 times gap between him and Dominic Nielsen in 2nd place. Behind that, Rishi in 3rd, Moustache in 4th, Domelchi in 5th, Bulletproof in 6th, Cam in 7th, Maki in 8th, Peace in 9th, Benny in 10th, Blackberry Holland in 11th, Havina in 12th, Jerome in 13th, and Red Ninja in 14th, with Artem serving the qualifying ban in 15th, and Mikey 17, MTK for Relentless in last place after retiring right in the start of qualifying. Yeah, even though he didn't have a qualifying ban. And with that, CPI are crowned the F1 Total Esports Division Season 1 champions. Congratulations, an awesome season by them. And now they have 2 more races to simply have some fun, I guess. It's all decided in the fight of P1. And a very well-deserved title as well, I have to say. They went completely unchallenged all season, which is not something you see a lot in these kinds of events. But they came out with a really strong start, while other teams took a bit too good going. The likes of NLR X didn't have the greatest of start in the season. And that in the end has cost them. They've made up points later on a bit, but just not quite enough. It is 10 points CPI in qualifying, and only 8 points for X in this qualifying session. They've actually lost points on CPI, lost 2 points, while they would have needed to gain 10 points on them. So that's it. CPI are crowned champions with well, 1 race, 1 quali session, and another race to go. And now we can simply focus on the fights throughout the rest of the field for position in the standings. The fight for P2 is still mathematically on between X and Relentless. X have a 50-point gap going into qualifying. I haven't done the math to keep that updated after qualifying, but yeah. There's also a fight with NLR. They aren't all that far behind Relentless, only 17 points behind. So that could potentially be interesting as well. Towards the back end of the standings, PFR on 16 points, ORT on 8, and TGF having only joined for this race on 0 points, so that could potentially be interesting as well, and something to look out for. LRN are kinda on their own on 104 points. They are somewhat in range of the teams ahead, so maybe still something to look out for as well. But yeah, we'll just enjoy the racing for now, and then we can do all the math next week for the final race in Abu Dhabi. Is it Abu Dhabi? I don't know my own calendar. That is kind of embarrassing. It is indeed Abu Dhabi. I do know my own calendar. So yeah, I'm expecting mostly hard medium strategies. 17 laps on hards, 14 on mediums. You could do medium hard as well, the other way around if you want to have an undercut. You could also pit early onto mediums, do 14 laps on hards and then 17 on mediums. A bit of a stretch on the medium stint, but you do gain quite a bit of time with an undercut, and that can catapult you up the field. But then you have to try and hold on as much as possible. But it is a street circuit, it's quite difficult to overtake around the streets of Singapore. We will simply have to wait and see what these drivers end up doing. Looks to be all dry. Hopefully it will stay that way. I think, I mean, I wouldn't mind some rain, but the racing does tend to be better in the dry around here. And there we go, the timer is, I can hear the timer, the clock ticking. We should be on the grid in a moment's time. There we go, the 5 lights are on. We're ready for the race start. Jamie on the left hand side, Dominic Nilsson alongside him. And it's lights out and away we go. And a decent start from Dominic. He might have pulled alongside Jamie there. He hasn't. Jamie's pulled oh, Jamie's gone off in the first corner. Okay, Jamie's pulling off. He's gonna drop to the back of the field. And yeah, join his teammate in the last first challenge. Now the title has been secured, it seems like. That means Dominic Nielsen takes lead of the race ahead of Moustache, and Rishi in 3rd, Peace in 4th, Domelchi in 5th behind that. I see Bulletproof alongside him. Bit of contact made there, it seems. Bulletproof pulling out to the right hand side, Domelchi pulling ahead. Maki trying to get involved, Cam as well there. A big squabble going on in the midfield here, a bit of contact with Blackberry Hall going to the back of Maki. Dominic Nielsen a full second ahead of Moustache, in the lead of the race already. Artem getting past Red Ninja for 14th there, so CPI already starting their charge through the field. Havina getting past his teammate for 10th. As Cam and Maki are side by side down to Singapore Sling. Maki now pulls ahead. And yellow flags for Artem, who spun around, coming out of turn 9. So not the ideal start for his comeback at least. But still a very long way to go. A 31 lap Grand Prix here around Singapore. You can have a look at the tires now. Mostly mediums, mostly hards, a few mediums. And I can already see Dominic Nielsen making very good use of those mediums at the front. A full second ahead of Moustache, out of the sprint already. Exactly what he needs to do. Blackberry Hall all over Cam here, down to the chicane. And that could be P8 for the TG after a bit of contact made with Cam defending aggressively. Blackberry not going to back out either. And in the end, it's Cam who stays ahead for now at least, but it does seem like Blackberry on those mediums has a bit more pace than the ex-driver. And he's going to try his absolute best to make that move happen. YK17 MTK for relentless into the pits, so he must have picked up wing damage at some point in that first lap. Artem in the pits as well, so they both must have picked up wing damage. Might have been involved in an instant together. Or Artem with the spin could have gotten wing damage, either way. Both in the pit lane on the first lap. And Cam attacking Maki there just a little bit, pulling out the slipstream, showing himself in his mirror, and he actually goes around the outside there. Goes off the track ever so slightly, I think. And has to tuck in behind once again, and now Blackberry is all over the back of him. A bit of a train forming here between those three, Maki, Cam and Blackberry. Does seem like, in terms of pace, they are ordered in the wrong way, which creates a very close train with Blackberry trying to pass Cam and Cam trying to pass Maki. Maki himself barely hanging on to the DRS range of Bulletproof, which will be opened next lap. So he's gonna have to try his absolute best to make sure he gets that DRS, otherwise he'll be very vulnerable to both Cam and Blackberry. And I think Bulletproof made a bit of a mistake there. Maki now just about inside it, that could be crucial. At the front, the gaps are increasing, 1.2 between Moustache and Dominic, 2 seconds between Moustache and Rishi, 1.5 between Peace and Rishi. Domelchen though is pretty close behind Peace, so there could be a move for P4 coming up here. Maki has kind of released himself from Cam there, just a tiny bit, 5/10 gap now, so just about far enough away to be safe in terms of being overtaken. But we'll have to wait and see how long that lasts. We can also have a look at the telemetry now. The ERS percentage on Cam is significantly lower than it is for Maki. Meanwhile, up ahead Bulletproof, he's a bit more in line with Cam. Blackberry, same, also has used quite a bit of ERS trying to make that move against Cam happen. And yeah, so far still stuck behind him. And Cam has pulled up the back of Maki once again. And up the inside this time into turn 7. Memorial corner, and Maki on the outside fights back to the inside for the next corner. And he does have the position once again. Cam just biting his teeth out at that NLR car. Trying his absolute hardest to make up a position here early on in the race. But just no luck so far. But he is following closely. Taking alternative lines, trying to get out of that dirty air to stay close to the Alfa Romeo. See if he can spot any kind of mistake, any kind of opening. Such small margins decide who can come out ahead in these battles, especially at street circuits. Like the Marina Bay Street Circuit. Not all that many overtaking opportunities. If you get ahead, you tend to stay ahead as well. Unlike the kind of racing we saw in Monza a few weeks ago, where it was constantly swapping positions with the DRS every single lap. This should be more in line with what we tend to see in real life Formula 1, where you pass once and then you stay ahead. But still, this train, yeah, they're all trying to find those gaps, but they simply aren't there. As Blackberry picks up a first 3-second time penalty off the race on lap 4 already. He has received multiple warnings, hasn't kept it inside the white lines. And Maki putting pressure on the ORT car of Bulletproof as well. And it might already be his chance this lap. He is pretty close. If he'd burned a bit of overtake, he probably would have gotten past him. But the question is, does he even want to go past him? As Benny gets past his teammate Avina, up into P10 once again, the two PF drivers fighting over that last point peg position. But that CPI car of Jamie, who has a bit of wing damage on the left-hand side of the end plate there. Still chasing them down from behind. They can see him in their mirrors. But he hasn't opted to pit to change that wing, unlike Artem did, so Artem's damage must have been quite a bit worse. That would explain though why Jamie hasn't shown the same insane pace that he's shown in qualifying. Red Ninja is all over the back of him, and he hasn't closed the PFR drivers ahead all that much. So he's now under pressure from Red Ninja behind. And he might have to wait for a safety car for the pit stop phase to get that wing changed so he can start actually making up some positions again. And meanwhile, bit of a train development here. Rishi has been caught by P and Domelcher. So a fight for P3 on the cards. As Domelcher, I think, went a bit over the white line. They're coming up the final corner. Meanwhile, Maki all over, bulletproof, and maybe down to turn 1. Can he make a move happen? Doesn't want to, it seems. Doesn't pull out the slipstream. Stays right behind the ORT driver. So we head onto lap 5. But maybe down into Memorial Corner now. Into turn 7 on the next DRS straight. That could be his chance. He is starting the straight so close behind the Ferrari. And now he's burning some overtake, and I think Maki is going to complete the move here at the same time. Peace on Rishi, up ahead. Maki on the inside line, doesn't get ahead. Bulletproof, once again mentioned the fan, and Cam now closing in quite a lot. Can he maybe, he's going to send brakes halfway into that gap, but doesn't quite get alongside. Thankfully, he managed to pull out just in time and no contact was made. And now Black Bay is right back in the fight. Cam lost a lot of time bouncing over that curb. Rishi now, can he try and fight back against Peace? Doesn't seem to have enough ERS to do so. Although Peace in a similar situation to the ex-driver. But maybe the smartest play for now is for Rishi to stay behind. Wait for this pit stop phases and then attack once again. Make sure he stays ahead of the Melcher though. Keep as much track position as possible on this track. The top 2 seem to be gone. 5 seconds a gap between Peace and Moustache. And then 2.5 seconds with Moustache and Dominic. Although, Moustache being on the harder tire at the moment, he might be able to pull that gap back once again in going to the pit stop phase. Once Moustache puts on the mediums and Dominic goes into the hards. The race will swing in favor of Moustache over the course of time, but then, can he make it a time? Virtual safety car has been deployed. I must assume for Red Ninja, who has lost his entire front wing somewhere. But nobody is gonna take that advantage or that chance to pit apart from himself, and he's gonna go into the mediums. So probably too long of a way to go until the end of the race. Yeah, everybody else had missed the pit entry, so they can't pit under VSC. And well, Mikey 17 MTK doesn't want to either, it seems. And Artem, well, he already pitted a few laps to go into hards, he doesn't really have a reason to pit, so I think Mad Ninja will be the only one to pit under this VSC. He's gonna come out the pits in P15, could be close to him and Artem. No, Artem has been slowed down quite a lot by the VSC, there we go. So Artem staying in last place here, still with it all to do. 15 cars up ahead of him in this race. And he is a full minute behind the race leader, so a nightmare start for Artem. DS enabled for under green flags once again. The VSCs come in, no drive-through penalties, thankfully. But it seems like Maki's gotten a really good restart. He's immediately alongside Bulletproof, and he's gonna try and take that chance to go up into P5. But he wasn't able to complete the move. Bulletproof with a very good defense. Maki switching to the inside. And maybe he's gonna send another brakes. No, doesn't have the traction, it seems. Doesn't have the confidence in the car, in the brakes, to send it on the Ferrari like that. And still stuck behind him. Still cannot get that move completed. He sees the 3 fighting ahead for the podium. And surely he must think, if I can simply get past Bulletproof, I can try and chase after those guys. But so far, no luck. He's being very conservative with the ERS though. He still has a lot more ERS left in the cars around him. And that will help him throughout the rest of this race. He'll have an ERS advantage for a long while now. But now, finally, maybe, it is his chance. He goes to the inside line into turn 7, which will come to the outside for turn 6, sorry, and then turn 7. But he does get ahead. Finally, pulls ahead before the braking zone. Bulletproof, cannot defend it in any way. And now he has to deal with Cam. And Maki is released into the freedom of P6 and can start trying to go after the top 3, the train for the top 3 of Peace, Rishi and Domelcher. 1.5 seconds behind. If you can just get into that DRS range, connect these trains, and we can have a train all the way from Peace to Cam. That would be ideal for, well, Maki, Bulletproof and Cam. They would all benefit if Maki manages to catch up. They would all be in the fight. And Maki is really using that ERS to close the gap just that tiny bit. 1.1 seconds. One more straight to go. before the DRS opens once again. Down the main set, Bulletproof now with a 3-second time penalty, the second one in this race after Blackberry already got one. Domelcher and Rishi are fighting now, and that's actually perfect for Maki. Domelcher, moves ahead of the X-Driver, and there we go, Maki is into DRS range. The trains are connected. Maki's pulled it off, and now he can simply sit in the DRS range. Bulletproof is barely hanging on to DRS, and Cam barely hanging on to DRS of Bulletproof as well. Blackberry Hall in the background, 1.8 seconds away from Cam. So he's still somewhat in the picture, but outside DRS range for now. Peace still leading this train with a decent amount of ERS, a bit more than the cars behind him. So he should be safe in that position for now. Bulletproof, barely in DRS range from Maki now, over 1 second, but he was still inside 1 second at the detection point, it seems. But he's gonna have to push for, as hard as he can to stay inside that 1 second range and keep touch with that DRS train. If he doesn't, then I'm very certain that Cam is not gonna sit behind him any longer. He's gonna try his absolute hardest to get that position to start chasing after the top 6 once again. As Maki's putting pressure on Cam's teammate Rishi for 5th place. Maki seeming really strong in the moment in his pace. Makes a bit of a mistake though. Domelcher makes an even bigger mistake. Rishi slips through. And Maki might try and follow through as well. Rishi on the outside line now. And Domelcher breaks much later. Pulls ahead Rishi. Playing it safe there it seems. Doesn't want to try and hang around the outside with the wall closing in on him. A smart move I would say. It's only lap 8 of the race. The leaders are so far gone anyway. And as long as you stay in this train for 3rd, that is all you can do. And making up one position with that risky of a maneuver, well, if it works out, good, but the risk is quite big. It could lead to DNF and Cam with a spin in the final corner. And that's going to drop him down quite some way outside of the point as well, with multiple cars flying past him there, Bernie, Havina and Jamie. That's Cam down to P12. And that's how quickly a race can unravel. He was sitting in P8, in a DRS of the cars ahead, in range of a podium, even with quite a few cars between him and that podium. And now he's dropped down to P12, behind Jamie, behind Havina and Benny. And a long way to go now between him and the upper points paying positions. Why he would have probably liked to secure that 2nd place for X at least. With Relentless in the moment scoring 15 points and X scoring 8. That is a bit of a swing in favor of Relentless, keeping their chances of a P2 in the standings alive. Although Domelcher is going to try and do his best to take some points off Peace here, which I'm so sure X will be very happy about. He is pretty close behind the Relentless driver. As the gap between Moustache and Dominic is staying at about 2.5 seconds, so it would seem like the mediums and hards are about at a similar pace now. We are a million miles away from the pit stop places for the mediums. They pit around lap 14, we're on lap 9. Jamie goes past Havina, finally up into P10, back into the points pack positions after he dropped out at the start of the race. And Cam might try and follow through. He's burning overtake, but he's very low on that ERS. And he might not quite have the run on Havina. He's gonna try it. He's gonna send in our brakes to make a bit of contact. Wheel banging there between the X and the PFR driver. Havina squeezing Cam all the way out to the wall, but just about leaving the cars with great battling. And in the end, Cam pulls on ahead as Bulletproof into the pit lane for a wing change here on lap 10 of this Grand Prix. And it's going to come out in 13th, 14th place probably. Drone in as well. And he's going to go into mediums. Same as Bulletproof, and also a wing change for Jerome. So both Bulletproof and Jerome picking up wing damage as Cam is now closing up to the back of Jamie. He does have any aerodynamic advantage over Jamie, given that he doesn't have wing damage. Lavina actually fighting back against Cam. There we go. Up the inside, and this time squeezing him over the white line. Cam though staying alongside to the inside line for turn 8, and he gets ahead of Havina. Once again defending. But with a switchback, Havina with a great move gets back ahead of Cam. Maybe a bit of illegal overtake there as well going on. Maybe Cam, when he went off track after he got squeezed off, got an illegal overtake, had to slow down. Because it did definitely seem like a very bad exit for Cam. So either he's made a major mistake, or he had to let him go and try to do it as safely as possible. And Cam now sends it into the hairpin. Very opportunistic move. And gets stuck behind Havina even longer. He's burning overtake all the way down into turn 14. Sends in the brakes again, but doesn't quite get alongside. As Pete and Domelcher fight about 3rd place. Domelcher goes off actually. And that's gonna lead Maki to get alongside in the final corner. Can he go all the way around yet off the LRN driver? No, he cannot. Goes off track in the process as well. And invites Rishi into the fight for this third place. Rishi pulling out the inside, but simply cannot get alongside in time. As Jamie goes into the pit lane on lap 11. A pretty early pit stop for the CPI driver to get that front wing changed finally. And Cam still cannot find a way past Havina. Indeed, a wing change for Jamie. That should be hard tires going into the car as well. No, it's mediums. So Jamie, yeah, with 2 medium stints early on in this race, so he must be doing a 2-stop strategy. Quite an interesting choice for Jamie. As Cam now to the outside of Havina. He's got absolutely no ES left. He does clear the PFR driver into turn 7 and down to turn 8 now. He is finally ahead, but will he stay ahead this time? He already made the move once. But then Havina came back at him with yeah, having a bit more ERS in the car to actually battle it out. Cam has been released into 9th place and can now start chasing after Benny for 8th. Meanwhile, the fight for 3rd still going strong here. Peace, Domelcher, Maki and Rishi, with absolutely no gap separating them. Did see Domelcher flashing there, so he is low on ERS and Maki will know it, and Maki will have a lot more ERS to work with. He's playing a long game here. Domelcher has a little look to the outside of Peace down into turn 16 and 17. With a slide now coming out of that chicane, and Maki has a look but gets squeezed off the line by Domelcher. Understeers a bit from the final corner now, and Rishi once again invited into the fight. Maki covers off the middle of the track, and Rishi can't find the gap to go around him. Bulletproof gets past Red Ninja, and Maki picks up a 3-second time penalty! Oh, that's gonna be a massive disadvantage now in this fight for 3rd. Was in such a good position, having the most ERS in this train by far. But now with that 3-second time penalty, he's made it a lot more difficult for himself. He would have to make the move on the Melcher and Peace and then pull a 3-second gap as well to actually, yeah, stay ahead in the race results as well. But this is currently the only fight happening on track. I'm keeping an eye as well on the gap between Moustache and Dominic for 1st place there. 2.7 seconds at the moment. It's slightly increasing at the moment. It was 2.5 a few laps ago, I remember. But that will get very relevant once Moustache pits onto the mediums and Dominic goes into the hards. That's when the gap will start coming down. And Moustache will have to try and make the overtake on track. Dominic will pit earlier, so he will then have a bit of an undercut, increase that gap probably, unless he gets out in traffic, which could very well happen if you have a look at the gap to leader. Right now he would come out probably just behind Benny and just in front of Cam. But then there is a nice gap between Benny and Blackberry Hall that you could pit into. So yeah, Dominic looking in an okay position in terms of pit stops as the Domelcher finally now makes a pass on Peace. They bang wheels into the braking zone. And Domelcher gets up ahead of Peace into P3 on track. Maki putting pressure on Peace immediately as well, announcing his presence. And he's gonna want to get that P4 on track so he can start building the gap. He can start going off the Melcher as well. Not even halfway through this race here. It's such a long race. Peace attacking Domelcher once again down into turn 7. Squeezes the LRN driver off the track. Domelcher coming back at him. Peace trying to hang around the outside. Oh! Contact made! They're both into the wall. Maki and Rishi slip through. Doesn't seem like any damage for either of them though. But they, yeah, end up blocking wheels. Making contact coming out of turn 8. Both not going to back down Domelcher now. With a mega move on Peace! Who dives in... Oh my goodness me. Once again, a crash between Domelcher and Peace. Twice within the same lap. And this time I think they both have wing damage. Blackberry Hall coming in from behind now. Seems like they're both being overly aggressive, I would say. Domelcher dive bombing Peace, sending them both into the barrier. Peace is out of the race. Domelcher with heavy wing damage, and that's a virtual full safety car deployed. And I have to say, that was some horrendous racing on show from both sides. I have not seen anything that bad in a while. Yeah, that's gonna be the Melcher into the pits for a new front wing piece completely out of the race. And that will mean a pit stop for almost everyone, I'm sure. A full core safety car. That's literally virtual, but you see the yellow dot on track after turn 3. So this will be an advantage for the ones who started on the mediums. They can go onto hards, which will probably last better to the end of the race. Blackberry on actually onto softs. Mediums should be able to make it as well if you have fresh mediums. 17 laps. I did say you could pit for mediums in lap 14 to have an undercut, but it won't be ideal in terms of tire wear. So this is not quite an interesting situation in terms of strategy. Jamie staying out on those 3-lap-old mediums, coming out in 7th place. Artem, his teammate, though, coming in for a fresh of medium, so he's going to be still in P13 after that. Dominic and Moustache, I think, were just after the pit entry. They did come out ahead of the safety car, thankfully for them. So they will still be able to pit this lap. So is this good or bad for Dominic? It's difficult to determine that, because the gap that he built will be gone. Moustache behind him will have a tire advantage for now. But then throughout the rest of the race, the tire wear for the mediums will be kicking in. And Dominic will be on the hards. And can maybe at the end of the race gain some pace on Moustache once again. It does also mean that the gap he had built to P3 and downwards is gone as well, not just the gap to Moustache. But based on the gap they built, I think they had 10 seconds or so on P3. It does seem like they are significantly faster than the rest of the field behind them. With the exception of Jamie. And, well, Jamie is still sitting in P7, so he has quite a few cars in between him and the leaders. I mean, probably Artem as well. I would expect CPI to always have 2 very strong drivers, but we haven't really seen his pace all that much after the qualifying ban, and then the incident started caused him to spin and change his wing. We haven't been able to see him showcase his pace. But now the safety guy's right back in the fight. We'll see if he can start working his way through the field. And indeed, of course, Moustache and Dominic both pitting. And are now sitting behind the safety car. Safety car should come in probably end of next lap, so lap 16. And that would be good for Moustache. That would give him the advantage. The longer the safety car stays out, the better. And the same goes for Animals, and I mean only Benny and Dominic on the hards. So in terms of tire wear, they would be in the best position for the end of the race, but they will have a difficult time to have holding on to those places at the start. Havina on the soft is quite interesting. Blackbeard on the soft as well, so they are both going to be making up places early on here. But then it will be a struggle, because they will have to make another pit stop. They can definitely not make those softs last to the end. Bulletproof and Jamie are on slightly worn mediums, so they will also likely struggle to get to the end, or if they do go to the end, they will have quite a bit of tire wear on those tires, and they're gonna lose a lot of lap time. You can also have a quick look at the position changes. The biggest winners so far have been Maki and Blackberry, each making up 5 places. Dominic up 1, Moustache up 2, Benny up 2, Havina up 1, 17 MTK up 4, Artem up 2. And then the biggest losers, well, Peace with DNF, he's lost 7, and Jamie, who's lost 6 places, starting from pole position. Demelcher as well in P9. He's lost 4, Cam has lost 3, currently sitting in P10. Jerome and Ninja each losing 1, Rishi losing 1. And we do have one more lap behind the safety car, but then I think this group right here at the back of Artem, Jerome and Red Ninja should catch up on lap 16, and we can go back to racing. Blackberry's back in the pits. So he's gonna go off those soft tires and... what, onto mediums? Onto hards? What is he gonna do here? Back to the hards for Blackberry Hall, and fresh hards actually. So he will now be going to the end. He's gonna come out probably in... or it could be close between him and Artem. And this entire group of Artem, Jerome and Red Ninja is gonna drop down to the last place. It'll be very close I think, but I think he will. He's just on the left-hand side there, and these guys of course have a much faster line coming through turns 1 and 2. As Red Ninja picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. And Blackberry does come out in P13. He'll have to run in Red Ninja behind CPI Artem, so just in the middle of that train. Will now also be quite interesting to see if the rest of the field can now stay with the leaders. They have another chance. Dominic on the hards in P1 might slow Moustache down a bit. We'll see if Maki, Rishi, Bulletproof, Jamie and everyone behind can stick with Dominic this time around, or if once again Dominic and Moustache will be clapped in the field and pull away with a similar gap they had before. Of course, also Jamie, his pace in qualifying was really strong, but he does now have a bit of a tire disadvantage over everyone else who have 3-lap fresher mediums. So we'll see if he can still make our places here, or if he's going to struggle, at least in the early laps, while their tires are still fresh and his are slightly worn. Quite a few things to look out for throughout the rest of this race. 15 laps to go. Safety car in this lap. The race nicely split in two by the safety car, coming out pretty much at the halfway mark. And Dominic now setting this pace, slowing the field down, warming up those tires, dragging the brake all the way down to the final corner probably. Going pretty fast here, so the safety car will not be all that far away. He has to go quite late now. He's locked himself into that. And we'll see if he can get Moustache off guard anyway. Now he's slowing down a bit, coming out of that turn 16 and 17 chicane. Safety car back in the pit lane. He could go now if he wanted to, and he does. And he has not caught Moustache off guard at all. Moustache immediately on the back of him. And I think Moustache might try and get that move done instantly as soon as he can. Maybe on this lap already, or we're gonna have to at least wait for DRS. As Bulletproof gets the restart on Rishi as well. Despite entire disadvantage, Bulletproof up into 4th place. Jerome picking up a 3-second time penalty. But at the front, Moustache is all over the back of Dominic. 2:10 separating them, going on to the long straight here down to turn 6 and 7. This right here being turn 6. And Moustache all over the back of Dominic, sending up the inside. But he can't get it alongside. The TGF car stays in 2nd place for now. Meanwhile, in the background, Cam and Hervina is, I believe, fighting. Oh no, it's Cam and Domelche fighting for 8th. And Cam on the inside line, sends it in there. Domelche on the outside, trying to hang around the outside, but sees the wall closing in on the right-hand side. And in the end, he has to back out. Cam up into 8th, Domelche staying in 7th, Cam on the back of Benny for P7. And of course, with the hearts being on an AlphaTauri, he's in the one to get past him, sends another break into the hairpin, and gets the move done. Very aggressive by Cam. And Domelche trying to follow through now on the outside line against Benny, down into turn 14. Can he move all the way around the outside here? Benny bouncing over the curb, and kills his exit. Meanwhile at the front, Moustache, pretty close to Dominic. He's burned a lot of ERS already. Dominic has been saving a bit more ERS though. So Dominic trying to play the long game here. And that's exactly what he needs to do. The race will come to him in the end of the stint. For now, he's going to be significantly slower than Moustache, no matter how much ERS he burns. So he's going to have to try and hold on to that position. We have a crash in the final corner. That's Hervina and Artem. And Artem immediately into the pits, taking up a 5-second penalty for speeding and retiring as well. That's CPI Artem out of the race. Down to 14 cars now. Moustache having another go at Dominic Nielsen now. And maybe this time around he has to run on him. He does seem to be a lot closer to the outside line. Dominic defending the inside. Can Moustache hanging around the outside. Gets squeezed off track by Dominic. And has to slot him behind once again. Dominic holding on to the lead for another lap. But DRS will be open next lap. And that is when Moustache will have a major advantage over the TGF driver. Maki in behind as well. The two NLR drivers both hounding Dominic. And Maki has a lot more ERS to work with in comparison to Moustache. Although Dominic's still on about 6% of ERS as well, so he's doing pretty well of managing that ERS. Meanwhile, Jamie has gotten past Cam for 5th place, and he's on the back of Bulletproof now. Oh no, he's gotten past Rishi. Rishi was in 5th, wasn't he? Cam got past Rishi as well, so Rishi not been having a great restart so far. He's dropped down quite some way into the P7. And Jamie putting pressure on Bulletproof now for 4th place. So I talked about how Jamie has slightly older tires, and that might disadvantage him a bit in the opening of the safety car at least, but it hasn't at all, it seems. He is already made up a few places, and he is absolutely all over bulletproof to the final corner here. Dia is now enabled. And that will give Mustache, will give Jamie the chances to make those moves. As Domelche is making a move on Rishi into turn 1. But he does not have the run on him. Has to bounce over the curb and in the end backs out of the move. And now Mustache, Dia is reopened for him. This could be finally his chance of getting past Dominic, clearing him before the breaking zone, with Jerome retiring the pits as well. Dominic squeezes Mustache all the way to the wall on the inside line, breaks late as possible on the outside line, tries to hang around the outside, they're still alongside now. Down into turn 8, and Dominic puts Mustache in the wall! That's wing damage for Mustache. Maki stiffs, moves past into second place. Oh my god, I'm trembling over my words here. Left front end plate missing for Mustache now. It's Dominic on the inside line. Mustache alongside. Goes about wide just a bit. And Mustache can't avoid going into the wall. And he has lost a significant amount of space. You can see he's already dropping outside DRS range. A very harsh defense from Dominic, you have to say. And now Maki's all over him as well. Similar situation, but this time Maki does have a 3-second time penalty, so it will make it even harder for Nyan Lara to secure this race win. And Dominic is now gonna be under massive pressure once again. And considering that Dominic just put his teammate in the wall, I'm sure Maki isn't gonna be all that happy about that either. And we might see, Mustache goes so wide from the final corner that wing damage, you can really see it having an effect. He's already 1.8 seconds back from Maki. As Domelche gets past bulletproof for P6, but we can't really go away from the fight for the race win here. Maki, so close to the back of Dominic. Does he see a gap somewhere? But onto the DRS straight. He's not burning overtake, he's staying behind. He's slotting it behind, yes, Dominic holding on to P1 for a bit longer. But it does seem like Maki has a massive pace advantage on those mediums compared to the hards. But the question is, will that pace advantage last? When will the mediums start dropping some pace? As we have rain! Rain is coming down! It is raining on the streets of Singapore, and that can throw this race upside down once again. And that explains why Mustache didn't pit the wing damage. He doesn't want to pit just before the rain. And of course the drivers would have known about the rain, they would have been asking about weather reports and stuff. So Mustache is now going to be holding up this train behind him of Jamie, Rishi, Domelche, and then probably Bulletproof is going to join this train very soon. Since they're going to be stuck behind the damaged Alfa Romeo. Maki still on the back of Dominic. Doesn't see a chance to make that move happen at the moment at least. We go onto the DRS straight once again, maybe this time. But he has a terrible exit. As YK17 MTK goes past Cam, Jamie goes past Mustache. Mustache into the pit lane for a very early stop into intermediates, and that could be because of his wing damage. And he might now try and help his teammate, let him know when it's time for the intermediate so he can get the pit stop right and maybe jump Dominic that way. 3-second time penalty for 17 MTK in the pit lane, not in the pit lane, for multiple warnings. Mustache onto intermediates immediately, as soon as possible. And now Maki, on the outside line of Dominic Nielsen, tries to outbrake him, but he outbrakes himself, goes off track. And that's Dominic securing the lead once again. The track is very wet already. The track is already really wet, and I think Mustache, Blackberry and Cam played this in perfection. The track looks so wet. DS is able, yes, they've got the timing perfect. And that could be massive. I mean, of course, Mustache in the wing change probably won't jump Dominic. I mean, we'll have to see, because they are going to be just crawling across this racetrack. They will have zero grip for the rest of this lap. You know, flags for Havina. Dominic Nielsen now with a 3-second time penalty, and Maki goes through! Maki goes through! Dominic Nielsen, they're side by side coming out the hairpin. Maki into the middle of the race, and Dominic with a time penalty as well. So that lead will actually stand on post-race penalties, but Maki goes deep. In these slippery conditions, Dominic with a better exit. This is some amazing racing. The type of racing you can only see with slicks on a wet track. As they both lock up heading into the chicane. There is absolutely zero grip out here. How many places will these guys drop now in the pit lane? Of course, absolutely everyone's gonna have to come in on this lap and pit for intermediates. Rishi gets a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting as well. And we'll have to see if these guys manage to slow the car down from the pit entry, or if they, either understeered on that wall, or speed. But yeah, absolutely no exceptions. The entire field's gonna be coming in this lap. If you don't, you would be crazy. And there we go, Red Ninja in as well. Vina, of course, will also be coming in, I'm fairly certain. That's Maki coming out in the lead of the race, ahead of Dominic Nielsen. Jamie into third, probably, but where is the one that's been already? Moustache coming out the final corner. How many drivers can he jump? I think that would be P4 for him. Maybe he can get Jamie coming out the pit entry. They're gonna be side by side, and Moustache comes out ahead. Moustache into third place, Jamie into fourth. We've got yellow flags in sector 3 for Vina, whom probably, I think he's missed the pit entry. And that's now Maki into the lead of the race, and that 3-second time penalty right now would not cost him the win. Moustache is too far away, Dominic has a penalty as well. But Moustache and Jamie are gonna start chasing after leaders, I'm fairly certain. Domelcha and Rishi fighting over fifth there, but Rishi can't quite pull ahead. So the new running order is Maki in the lead from Dominic, Moustache, Jamie, Domelcha as Cam picks up with 3-second time penalty, Rishi in 6th, Blackbeard in 7th, Cam in 8th, 17 MTK in 9th, Bulletproof in 10th, Benny in 11th, Red Ninja in 12th, and Tavina in 13th as Dominic makes the move on Maki into the old Singapore sling. But they are side by side still, and oh, Dominic gets put in the wall! And that's the entire front wing of Dominic gone. Maki goes off, Moustache slipped through into the race lead. What is happening here in Singapore tonight? That's another crash between the race leaders. It was Moustache and Dominic earlier, now it's Maki and Dominic. And this time it's Dominic who hits the wing damage. Maki is completely fine. Jamie goes up into third place as well. And Dominic's gonna have to make another pit stop here to get that front wing changed. He's gonna drop down to, well, outside the points probably. Behind Red Ninja, I would say. And he will not have all that many laps to go in this race to make up for that extra pit stop now. It would have been a great debut result for TGF. And that is absolute heartbreak for Dominic Nielsen. A late pit stop in this Grand Prix onto an arsenal of intermediates with a wing change. Will drop him down to P12. 3 seconds for Rishi. And now Jamie's gonna start hounding Maki for second place. He can start chasing after Moustache. Can Jamie still secure a race win for CPI here? He's gonna have to try his absolute hardest to get past Maki as soon as possible, while that gap to Moustache is still growing and growing. And is he gonna send it? He's gonna send it into turn 8, and he gets the car stopped just about, and he does get ahead of Maki. He has pulled it off. And that's Jamie to second place, but with very low ERS left in the car. And Maki now under pressure from the Domelcha behind as well. 2.5 seconds separating Jamie and Moustache now with 7 laps to go. Can Jamie close this gap in the remaining laps? As Domelcha is having a look at Maki down in the Singapore sling. Maki seems to be really struggling in these conditions. He was passed by Dominic into a Singapore sling. And then tried to fight back the turn 11 and 12 onto Anderson Bridge section. As Domelcha now sends it to happen. Maki really not at all confident. Jamie already a full 2 seconds ahead. Maybe Maki picked up some wing damage in that collision with Dominic. I can't. There's no visible damage, but maybe it's damage not visible to the spectator, because he does seem to be quite slow at the moment. And creating a bit of a train behind him with the Domelcha, Rishi, Blackberry Hall not far behind either. So Maki's gonna have to try as hard as he's also really understrength in the final corner, it seems like. Domelcha with a much better exit, but he's quite low on ERS, so it'll make it difficult for him to pass him. Jamie is already closed in by I think a full second on Moustache. He is absolutely flying at the moment. And that could still end up with a fight for this race win between Moustache and Jamie. Domelcha all over the back of Maki here, heading onto the, well, not DRS anymore. DRS, of course, been deactivated once we pin onto the intermediates. But Domelcha will get past anyway. Maki, even though he has ERS to fight back, doesn't choose to, doesn't seem to think there's a point in it. Domelcha slips through into third, and Rishi is now going to be on the back of Maki as well. We can have a look at the penalties. There's quite a few penalties. The only drivers in this race without penalties are the top 3 and Benny. And then we have 6 seconds for Red Ninja and Rishi, everyone else on 3. Rishi following Maki closely for this 4th place fight. But Rishi does have more time penalties. He has 6 seconds over everyone else's 3. Still trying to find a way around Maki here, who's already lost almost 2 seconds to Domelche, who passed him only about half a lap ago. So Rishi's gonna have to try and follow through if he wants to get that P4. Needs to make a gap in the cars behind. And in that sense at least, Maki might even help him. If he can get past Maki while Blackberry and everyone else behind still ends up stuck behind Maki, that could be a big help for Rishi to secure the 4th place. But at the moment... Oh, there's Cam to the wall! And it's an entire front wing lost for Cam as well. Another front wing lost. And the understeers out of the pit entry as well. And that's gonna be him dropping out at the points, I'm pretty sure, behind Benny, Red Ninja, and probably Dominic Nielsen as well. Cam with a mistake coming out of chicane, I think nobody alongside him, so I think it was just a driving mistake. Meanwhile, Jamie has already closed the gap to Moustache. With, yeah, lap 25 and a 31, still quite some way to go. So now, it is all about making that move, but he is about 20% less ERS to play with for Jamie than Moustache has. That could become a factor here, so keep an eye on that gap for the race leaders. I'm gonna have to make sure I don't miss a pass for the race lead if Jamie ends up going for it. But also keep an eye on this fight. For 4th place, Maki, Rishi, 17 MTK, Blackbear and Bulletproof fighting for 7th as well. But I'll just, yeah, like this, so I can immediately switch to it if I need to. Jamie currently, I think, might be actually trying to go for it. I thought he was too far behind, but he is closing in throughout the straight. But not quite, not quite. Meanwhile, Bulletproof is somewhat close to Blackberry. Rishi is dropping back a bit from Maki. He might be, yeah, just developing a bit of confidence in this rain. Getting used to the conditions. I think at this point we can stay on the 5 in the race win. It does seem to be the closest battle on track anyway. Moustache with no slipstream from anyone else in front of him. But no DRS for Jamie either. Of course, DRS in the rain not activated due to safety reasons. It is all about driver ability here. There is no artificial help anymore in the rain. You just have to get the exit right, make use of the slipstream, maybe burn some ERS. As now Bulletproof is fighting Blackberry. Jamie does not have the wrong Moustache this lap, he's still gonna end up behind him. Blackberry with not a great exit coming out of turn 5 and stays behind Bulletproof for now at least. And actually, Rishi's been overtaken for 5th place by 17 MTK here. Rishi dropping down to 6th. And Maki still hanging on to that 4th place, but he is still losing a good amount of time to Melcher each lap. And at the front, it is Jamie. Still, nothing has changed here. Right behind Moustache. If you can just find some sort of... He has to wait for a mistake from Moustache almost. He does seem to have a lot of pace over Moustache, but not quite enough to make a move happen on his own. He needs to hope for a mistake, I think. But once he sees any kind of mistake, even the smallest mistake from Moustache, will invite Jamie in to have a go. And I think once Jamie has the position, that could be game over, because Moustache does not seem to have the pace that Jamie has in this race. Jamie getting used to these wet conditions really well, really early on. Absolutely flying after the pit stop phases. And very close to Moustache into turn 1, but just not quite the run once again. But he's been recharging ERS. He actually has more than Moustache by now. Moustache having to burn a bit every single lap, it seems like, to hang on to that position. Jamie is consistently about 3 at a maximum of 4 tenths away from him. He does not have a moment of peace at the moment. Jamie burning a bit of ERS, they're just tapping it to keep the gap close. Moustache has to burn a bit more, he's below 30% now. 7 MTK though on the back of Maki. Might make the overtake that Rishi was trying to make for a long time but never made happen. Sends an under brakes. Goes off track, they both go off track actually. That's a move done, but not in the cleanest of manners, I would say. Doesn't seem to have an illegal overtake from the game. So he's gonna have to, yeah, he's gonna keep the position. That is Maki down to P5, and now once again under pressure from Rishi behind as well. And we see Jamie hounding Moustache still on lap 27, now 31. But laps are counting down. Moustache only has to hold on, and he's surely counting down laps at this point, just hoping for the checkered flag to come. So he has secured the race win. He probably would have thought it was all over after the incident with Dominic Nielsen, but then he found himself in the lead of the race once again. But now he has to hold off Jamie, who has been on a charge ever since he dropped down to the last place on lap 1. He had the pole position, dropped down to last on purpose, at least that's what I think happened at turn 1. And he's made his way through the field. And now only one car between him and the race win. But the question is, with no DRS on a street circuit with very short straights, does Jamie find the gap? Does Jamie see the mistake? Does Moustache even make a mistake to invite Jamie in to make that move? Jamie's burning a bit of oil tank now, but I think he's just ever so slightly too far behind. It is just so difficult to get the run there. The straight is so short, and it's a bit awkward as well. The little kink of turn 6, you don't really know where the car head is going to place himself through that kink, and so it's yeah, always you have to always keep that in your head when you try and go for the move through there and set yourself up into turn 7. So it's yeah, the longer straight on the lap being only a half straight makes it that tiny bit more difficult, and that can make a difference quite often on a track like this when it's already so difficult. Jamie now using all-take mode. It might be finally the chance for him to go to the outside of Moustache, but he can't quite. Oh, now with the switchback, Moustache goes deep, and there we go. The mistake that I was talking about has finally happened. Jamie pulls ahead in the lead of the race. Moustache is gonna try and burn the ES to fight back, but does he have the run on him down to chicane? I don't think he has. That is Jamie into P1. One mistake from Moustache. Jamie went to the outside, Moustache went deep, and Jamie to switch back into the lead of the race. And now Moustache, is he gonna try and fight back? Does he have the pace to fight back? He's about 5 tenths back right now, 4.5 tenths back, but very low in ERS. And that could be game over if Jamie starts building a gap, and it does seem like he is on lap 29 of this Grand Prix. Not all that many laps to go. 7 tenths to gap. Yeah, Jamie is driving away. Moustache can't keep up. And that could be it. That could be the early decider in this Grand Prix. Only 3 laps to go. Still, Bulletproof and Maki fighting over 5th here. I've been neglecting this fight for 5th place here. Maki, Bulletproof, Rishi, 7 MTK driving away after making the pass on Maki. Of course, having to focus on the 5 in the race win, but that now seems to be over. So we can focus on the other stuff going on throughout the field. Bulletproof, pretty close behind Maki here. I do want to have a quick look at the penalties. It is still 6 seconds for Rishi and Red Ninja, and 3 seconds for everyone else. Nothing has changed on that front. So that 6 seconds for Rishi will at the moment not cost him anything. The same goes for Red Ninja, but Cam is 3.6 away from Red Ninja, and that could cost Red Ninja a P11, which would not be any points actually. But 1 DNF away, and then it could change something, and it would mean 1 point. Bulletproof, 7 tenths behind Maki. He's just too far behind at the moment, but maybe we can close that gap just a bit more in these remaining 2 laps of this Grand Prix, once Jamie crosses that line. Jamie already has pulled a 1.9 second gap to Moustache. His pace simply absolutely amazing right now, and yeah, by far the fastest car on track. Nobody is able to match him today. And yeah, only 2 laps to go. CPI securing the title in qualifying, and then yeah, Jamie dropping to last place on the start and delivering a last to first challenge to top it off, it seems. What a way to win a championship. Winning in style, yeah. Winning in the most style possible, you could say. The most stylish way possible. Bulletproof still Yeah, I mean, he's somewhat there, but he's making a few mistakes, getting a bit loose in the rear. He's burning some overtake now, but he's just too far behind, and Maki's gonna hold on to that P5 for at least one more lap. Unless Bulletproof can find a gap somewhere else in the lap. Red Ninja is now actually fighting Cam. And just as I switch away from Maki and Bulletproof, they pull alongside. Maki tries to send it back in there, but Bulletproof I think is now fully ahead and up into P5. Although with a terrible exit, Maki goes right through him again. Oh, Bulletproof's on... he's driving on AI. What's happened here? Bulletproof has left the session. At the second to last lap, Bulletproof while running in P5 disconnects. And that is gonna really hurt his that's gonna really hurt his team's chances of scoring some points in this race. He's now gonna drop down, probably behind Rishi. The gap to Blackberry might be just big enough. Dominic Nielsen! In the lead of the race for so long, and now out of P10 he's DNF'd. That's gonna be 0 points when Bulletproof back in the lobby. But he's already dropped behind Rishi. The gap to Blackberry though is pretty big, so he should be able to hang on to P7 at least, but still, that is some very valuable points losses. Cam makes the move in Red Ninja. Back up into P10. Can Red Ninja try and fight back? He has a bit of overtake to burn. Goes for the move on the braking. Slides the car through the corner ever so slightly with a big slide on the exit as well. And they are still side by side. Red Ninja does pull ahead of Cam. Meanwhile at the front, it's the last lap and it is raining quite heavily. I think it might even be time for full wets. The guys are sliding all over the track at the moment. Yellow flags for Cam! And that's the fight for the final points position decided. Cam into the wall and his entire front wing gone. That is going to be Red Ninja into P10 now, safely. And this man, CPI Jamie, has delivered an simply outstanding performance. Worthy of a champion that CPI have finally can now mathematically be declared champion. We've known it for a while that would happen eventually, but now it is mathematically over, and Jamie has celebrated in style, pulling off a very impressive last to first shot. He's going to end up winning by close to 4 seconds to Moustache. And what a great drive from him today, I can only repeat myself. He's coming up to the final corner here. And he's going to take home the full 25 points. Is it even 26 maybe? It is 26 points for Jamie. What a way to celebrate the championship. Jamie in P1. Moustache in the end actually 5 seconds behind in P2. The great drive from him as well. Domichel securing a podium after joining late in qualifying into 3rd place. 7 MDK picking up wing damage in the second to last corner as well there, but it won't matter. He is far enough ahead of Maki for it not to matter at all. He will bring home the car in P4 as he spins across the line as well. Maki in the 5th. It'll be Rishi in P6 for now, but I think he might drop behind Bulletproof on penalties. Who's coming on P7 on track, but yes, does take P6 instead of Rishi. And then Blackberry Hall, he does have how many penalties? 3. So he should stay in P8 there, ahead of PFR Benny, who will bring home 2 points for his team. And following that, we have got Red Ninja in P10, 1 point for ORT, as well as the 8 points that Bulletproof brought home, so 9 points for ORT today. As he comes up to the final corner, after the, I would say a tough race for ORT, could have been a bit more in them as well, but a solid points haul for them to bring home. And the last car still running, Havina, sadly the only car who's going to finish the race without scoring points, P11 for Havina. And that's that. That has been the Singapore Grand Prix in the Esports division of F1 Total. The 9th round of the season. 1 more race to go next week at Abu Dhabi for the season finale. Drive of the day goes to 7 MTK. I majorly disagree. I would give it to Jamie, and I don't think there's any discussion about that. Pole position by an absolute mile. Last of first challenge pulled off. Won by 5 seconds. A dominant performance, and there we see him on the podium celebrating, and he's well deserved. Moustache in 2nd, Domelton in 3rd. Great drives in them as well. But I think this outcome was almost inevitable, I would say, given the pace difference that he seemed to have with the rest of the field. CPI in general, I mean, what a season it's been for them. And 1 more race to go. And, hopefully we can see a different winner for once. I don't think we've seen many different winners in CPI this season. But still some great races, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the final race next week. Same time as always, 3 p.m. UK time for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. These are your race results. 7th MDK actually up from 16th to 4th, so yeah, I have to say, great racing as well. I see about the game gave him drive of the day, but still, I have to give it to Jamie. Yeah, hope you enjoyed today's stream, and see you again next week for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the season finale of the Esports Division F1 Total. Have a good evening. Goodbye.